Here we go. The music is finishing. We're kicking off the show for the week. Dan, Jamie, and Shane back with you again to talk another dose of fantasy football on a Thursday evening. So, Shane, say hello to the lads.
Howdy, guys. Nice to be back again. 2 weeks running. We're spoiling, at this point.
Spoiler.
We're getting match fit. We're in training camp again.
It's Thursday night football preseason, baby.
Need to get I suppose we have a theme tune that can be the Thursday night prelims.
Yeah. We need like a Thursday night team tune. It's Thursday night and it's football time.
Basically, just ripping off the Thursday night football tune from America.
Yeah. You want? Yeah. That was exactly what I thought in my head.
Yeah. I never forget the first time I showed you that on the American broadcast. You were like, "Oh my god, they introduce it so well."
They're so good at these things, like.
They're just overly enthusiastic about everything.
But it's nice to see, like, you kind of have to be like.
Well, it is when you're from an Irish perspective, and we're just overly pessimistic about everything.
Yeah, everything's doom and gloom on like our kind of sportscasts.
Yeah, but like, do you ever try and watch those Super Sunday games, and the commentary is just absolutely horrific.
Sky Sports, though, man.
Oh god, it's so bad.
Neil Reynolds, man, needs to go get a personality and then come back and host that show, man. Man is like a bland, wet potato trying to fucking introduce himself into a tasty meal.
I don't mind Neil Reynolds that much. Like he's okay. Like he's not brilliant, but I think he's okay. But it's when he brings on like the CFL the CFL guys to talk about it, and like they're all tan in big Hawaiian shirts, like obviously come over to get their paycheck and not a bother to them. Like
yeah.
Yeah, like that's the small. What's the small little guy they have there? They always call him Coach. Like I never remember his name. He's like from Hawaii or something.
Yeah.
What's his name?
There's not hope I'm going to remember his name because I don't watch the UK
he's like coached like really shitty teams, and he's just like
Jeff.
He's like their expert.
Is it Jeff Reinberg or something like that?
Yes, that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, Reinbold or something. Yeah. Yeah.
No Tony Romo anyway.
They had Ndamukong Suh for a while. I actually used to like Suh, and I thought he was good in it. And then he got a new team or
got a contract
again. Yeah. He wasn't coming all the way over for the money anymore. He didn't need it.
Sometimes I wonder why they even bother coming over anymore. They should just feel like, do web links and film it in. Like, I don't want to know the difference.
A hologram of just that person.
Do you watch the AJ fight this weekend?
They're always on. So where is it on?
It's on in like Jeddah, so it'll be like so
like
10 o'clock our time, I think. So like for the US, it will be
too late.
Yeah, I'd say in the I'd say East Coast it's probably like 2 p.m.
Oh yeah, I probably will. So yeah.
Like I'd love to see like another kind of Klitschko fight out of AJ, like real balls to the wall, get dropped, get up, drop Usyk, and then fucking have a good like 7-8 rounds of that, like just a good slugfest here and there, like in it. But I just think Usyk is just going to dance around him, tire him out, draw out the big punches. Usyk is he's 6'5", and he's gone up in the weight now.
He's smaller than that, isn't he, Usyk? I thought he was.
I don't think so.
Joshua's 6'6".
No, he looked very close to him in the weigh-in.
Yeah, I think Usyk he's listed at like 6'3", but he's actually 6'5". It's like all these
Ukrainian
that we should be used to with American football. They list him as like, oh, he's only 200 pounds. Turns out Derrick Henry is actually 250. I swear he's 6 foot, but Derrick Henry is like 6'5". Man's bigger than half the linebackers in the league.
Did you see Usyk at the weigh-in though? He looks like an absolute nut job.
Yeah, he's a stupid strand of hair.
And he's a big fucking moustache in him.
Man thinks he's the last Mohican He's the last Mohican.
He's listed at 6'3", but if you're saying I know Joshua's 6'6", because I heard that on a podcast during the week.
Yeah, he's not 3 inches smaller than Joshua. Like when you see him now standing in the ring together, you say there's no way there's 3 inches in the difference there. And we all know, Dan, that you know what 3 inches looks like.
On that note,
There was always a dick joke coming there.
Hey, who said that about a dick joke?
you were talking about the size of my MP3 player, Jamie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry. Jesus. Moving swiftly on.
Do you remember those crappy little USB MP3 players you had where you literally like just you took off the top of it and it was essentially just like a USB key you plugged into the computer and put like 250 songs on?
Yeah, they were great though. This will work like.
Yeah, I had a little silver one of them with like the screen just lit up in like little green neon lights when you turned it on. It was absolutely awful looking.
So cool.
I used to love a good neon light back in the day.
Oh, I loved it.
We were a class. It was full of Black Eyed Peas then as well. I think it was like their first album, like all like pumping and fucking Where's the Love and everything. It was just all Black Eyed Peas for like half of the fucking thing. It was so
But you only
bad.
got like 120 songs. It was easy to fill.
Yeah.
We'll kick off anyway, and what we're going to do on today's show is we're going to talk dynasty trades in the leagues at the end. We're gonna hit a little bit of kind of our own breakout picks for the year for the fantasy drafts, and we're also just going to run through a little bit of news quickly, just on basically whatever happened today in the news, because like everyone gets their news from other places, but basically Mecole Hardman was carted off. The injury isn't considered too serious, so that's not too bad, but that kind of leaves a bit of space for the other ambiguous players in Kansas City in the wide receiver room. I don't think any of us are too hot on the Kansas wide receivers, are we?
MVS breakout year. Clearly.
Well, someone has to catch the ball. Like
someone has to catch the ball. As
Like,
we'll
yeah.
get to in the breakout. But yeah, no one's hot in Kansas. But like you always have the X factor in Mahomes. Mahomes can throw the ball to a wall and probably catch it. You know,
Juju's there trying to revive himself again now, isn't he?
Yeah, with his 9-yard button hooks.
Yeah, I don't know. Like Juju's proven, I think, when AB left, Juju went from being top 10 receiver in fantasy, and then he had one year without AB where he was good, and after that we've seen absolutely nothing, and that's been what now 5-6 years.
I think he almost like climbed into like, you know, the first round of some fantasy drafts that first year without AB or something, didn't he? He went way too high. I think he got like, I think him and what happened? Big Ben got injured. Remember that season? And then the next season, everyone was kind of like, all right, Big Ben's healthy, and then Juju just didn't reappear again, and then it was like, all right, this is the year for Juju, and it just never came back. So this is the year for Juju without Big Ben.
Look, I do really hope, because Juju is a bit of a character, and look, we all love someone who gives us something to talk about more than that, and you know, like it, or we hate him, but like either way, it's fun to talk about him. So I hope Juju comes back. I hope he does something good and he doesn't just fade into nothingness. It'd be like he's got the personality to keep you entertained.
I mean, he's got to hit the hype at some point. You would think, you know, like every single year, it's somebody has some of the hype about Juju since year. You always hear somebody talking about, oh, you got to draft him, got to put him on your team at the very least. He's going to get you points. When do you ever want to play Juju? You know, you haven't for a long time, and this year, I know you got Mahomes, but it's probably none different. Like.
We'll move on to someone who's definitely not going to be scoring your points this year on your fantasy team. Deshaun Watson has been suspended for 11 games and fined $5 million. So that basically takes Amari Cooper off your board as well. And you'd probably still draft Chubb and Kareem Hunt quite high, but yeah, it takes the wide receivers off the board in Cleveland anyway. And to be honest, I won't be drafting Deshaun Watson on any of my teams. Shane?
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, look, I've had Amari Cooper the last couple of seasons in our own league, and he can get you them 20-point weeks, but he's not anywhere near consistent enough. Never has been, never will be. He's not someone you'd want to draft very high anyway, and I think his value is is too high for where people want to draft him. And now without Watson, I definitely won't be drafting him. I think what's he going? Is he going 5th or 6th round? And I still think that's too high for Amari Cooper. I think Amari Cooper is like a 7th to 8th round pick now with some of the wide receiver talent that's there in the same kind of time. So another guy who you didn't actually point out there, Dan, I think who a lot of people were kind of high on and think could have a good year is David Njoku, who signed a 4-year deal with the Browns. I think now he might be one to avoid as well this year.
He was off my board anyway.
I like the Njoku. I think he's got good speed, man. He's never kind of had that year. I would have taken him, maybe pick him up on a waiver wire or something some week if he wasn't picked up. Maybe draft him real late if I didn't get the tight end I was looking for. But he would have been one of those guys I would have taken a look at late in the draft. And if Watson was there, I think the production could have been there, but maybe definitely not now. Like,
well, who's the backup there? Is Brissett? Is it?
They were talking about trading for Jimmy G. I don't know if they'd be able to trade for Jimmy G.
You hardly put Jimmy G and Watson on the same team, like.
Well, you'd be benching him week 12 anyway, wouldn't you? He'd be gone again. Yeah. But
you'd have to give up a bit to get him as well.
Yeah, but like when the Browns get what they deserve, to be quite honest, well, they played stupid games, you win stupid prizes, and that's exactly what they've done. They had to tank their whole year for no reason.
Yeah, well
look, let's be honest about it anyway. Like, look, the Browns, do they really need a quarterback? They've had Baker for the last couple of seasons. They've made the playoffs. Like, that says enough to me that they have enough in that team to actually still go and make the playoffs without having a quarterback. Like, they'll do it on the ground. They'll just do it on the ground. Like, look at it this way. Baker has gone to Carolina against Sam Darnold, and did they pick up a rookie? I don't think they did pick up a rookie. Did they draft a QB?
The man Corral, is that his name? They drafted him in the third.
Baker's not even the nailed-on number 1 QB there yet. Darnold could still beat him out.
I think I saw a report they were going to announce him in the next couple of days as the starter, but sure, like they were going to have to announce him as a starter anyway because they paid up and traded for him. Like,
yeah.
So what happens like week fucking 3-4 and Baker's throwing 10 picks in Carolina because he can't just run the ball because Christian McCaffrey's leg is broke after week 1, snap 1.
Then you move to Sam Darnold and he throws 12 picks. Then you go back to Baker.
Yeah, we love the carousel of interceptions, especially when we play defense.
I'm just going out on a limb, and I'm going to just say that I don't think you like Baker Mayfield.
Do you remember that year where it was Fitzmagic and Jameis Winston were in Tampa Bay the same year?
Yes.
They just kept getting swapped in and out.
Well, poor Bruce Arians, man. I thought he was going to have a stroke on the sideline. Every second week, he was like, what is going on? No matter who I pick, they're just throwing interceptions. It's like, do these idiots know how to play at all?
There's no definitive date for Tom Brady to return to Bucs practice. I haven't actually seen why he left. I know it was for a family reason, but nothing's really come out about it. I thought I saw that he would be back this week on some reports, but apparently not. But for me, this isn't too big an issue. Like, Tom Brady could just show up on the day and probably still piss excellence. Jamie?
Yeah, like he doesn't need to do preseason. If anything, he probably helps the Bucs. Someone at that age probably doesn't need to be training. He doesn't need to do it. Like you know what Tom Brady is. Tom Brady is one of the greatest quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback that's ever played the game. He just needs to show up. His IQ is so good, he doesn't need to move. He just stand in the pocket all day and just fire balls left, right, center. So I wouldn't be worried about that. He's gonna be back for week 1. Him missing preseason, it's not a big deal.
And Shane?
Nah, I'd agree with everything Jamie said. Like, look, Tom Brady's one of them guys. He keeps him like he's at that age now where Tom doesn't have an off season as much. Like when you're younger, you can afford to take a month or 2 months off and train the shit out of it when you get back in, and you pick it back up. Like guys gain weight in the off season, or they try to bulk up a bit, maybe whatever. But Tom Brady, I'd say the dude is constantly at the same weight, the same physique all year round. The dude keeps himself in tip-top condition, I'd say. He's always probably got trainers with him the whole time. He's not like he didn't get to be the best quarterback of all time by slacking off. He's got his regiment now. He's not going to come back at, what is he, 42 this year and be any way out of shape. Like, the dude he's coming back and he's going for another Super Bowl, like, and he's going to hit the ground running week 1.
He's not eating fried chicken every day.
No, it's Tom Brady, man. He don't do that.
I had fried chicken today. It was great.
Side note.
Jalen Warren appears to be the Steelers running back too. This just says to me that Najee is going to be good. Well, he's not going to be great. I still have my worries about Najee, but Najee's locked in anyway.
Najee's going to be a bell cow back this year, man. And I know everyone is talking, like, I've seen things on other, say, podcasts that I've listened to myself or other fan pages and stuff, and I've seen things saying that Najee's ADP is way too high. I think if Najee falls to you in the second round, you are one lucky person.
Yeah, he's never getting to second.
No. He's a first-round pick all day long, and depending on what type of league you're in, PPR or no PPR, I wouldn't be taking a wide receiver ahead of him. I don't care if it's Jefferson or Kupp or any of them. I just wouldn't be taking a wide receiver over him. If he's there, I'd be taking him. I think you don't get many backfields in fantasy anymore where it's one back and that's it. He's not sharing snaps. He's just out. He's a 3-down back. Who have we got? Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, and we have Najee Harris now. They're your 3 guys who you were relying on that will be on the field every down.
Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook.
He won't be on the field after fucking 2 downs this year, man. He's going to be gone again. Christian McCaffrey shouldn't be drafted in the first round. You should be just take a swing at him in the second or the third, man. And if he hits, he hits. And I look like an idiot. But I'd rather look like the idiot saying, "Oh, I'm not picking him," and skip him, than be the idiot who took him second overall and not have him after week 2.
Yeah, I have a bet on that. Yeah, well, I agree to a point that I wouldn't draft McCaffrey now because just inconsistency. You don't know. He could be down. Not inconsistency in his field play, obviously, but he could literally just go down. But Najee Harris and Christian McCaffrey are kind of very similar in the fact that they're going to get all the ball all the time as much as possible. So in a fantasy perspective, that's exactly what you want. Don't look at the team. Look at what the ball percentage he's going to get. It's going to be on a par. They have no one else.
No, but Christian McCaffrey can score you 25 points a week. Najee Harris isn't doing that.
But but
at
second year
he might sorry, Jim. You go ahead.
No, he's got it. But second year, he's going to pick up. He's going to get better. Year in the league, you're always going to be better your second year. He knows the league better. He's got more experience. He's going to be a lot better this year. Like I'm not full in on Najee Harris myself. I don't know if I would draft him myself, but I can see why people would put him up in that kind of elite running back situation.
Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, but that's all the more point, Dan. Mitch Trubisky. They're not going to rely on Mitch Trubisky to get the work done. Najee Harris
but the defense
piled on the pounds this year. Najee Harris is going to be the Steelers' reliant player this year. He is the guy who they're going to look to win them games. Is Najee Harris this year? That's who he's going to be.
What did he have? Like 3 yards per carry last year. Like if he has,
as a rookie, he was lighter. Look at him now. He is heavier now than Jerome the Bus Bettis was in his prime playing for the Steelers. Harris is going to be a monster. Now,
I think we need a bet on this. Like, I think Najee could finish like outside the top 12 running backs. I think he could be outside an RB1. Like,
all right, but I'll take that bet. But if he gets injured, bet's not right. I'm not doing a bet if he plays like 3 games. He's got to play a minimum of 15 weeks.
15. It's just only a 17-game season.
Yeah, like he could be benched for a game or two.
Yeah, and if he's like wide receiver, or if he's like running back 8, it still gives me a really good chance with 2 games to go.
All right, that'll bring us nicely onto our breakout picks. So we're gonna each take a breakout player and kind of call them our own for the year. But to quantify this breakout pick, we kind of had the rules that they kind of just have to outperform their ADP where they're being drafted for breakout picks. So like if you wanted to call someone in the 4th round, like Dalton Schultz, someone a breakout because you think they're going to have a better season and finish like maybe tight end 1, that's a fair call. So Shane, you may as well hit us with your first one.
All right, so my breakout pick this year, I was looking at a few guys. I was looking at a few guys who were actually coming back off of injuries. Kind of what I was doing, guys who have been like taken in like the 7th, 8th round. But I decided to go with AJ Dillon. AJ Dillon is my guy. I'm all about running backs, as anyone who's listened to us knows. Like Dillon last year, he started slow, right? He ended up in an RB2 coming close to the middle of the year. And then in week 10, he was the guy for that game against Seattle in week 10 last year. He was the bell cow back for them. And one thing that surprised me with AJ Dillon last year when I went back and looked at his numbers and compared him to other running backs is Dalvin Cook, who's a guy who actually he does catch the ball, or we perceive him to catch the ball a handy bit out of the backfield for a 3-down running back. Usually that's it's guys like Alvin Kamara you think of with that, but Dalvin Cook would be one of them guys who catches the ball a handy bit, well, in my estimation anyway. Now, last year, AJ Dillon had 34 receptions out of 37 targets, which them 34 receptions is the exact same as what Dalvin Cook had. He also had been the running back 2 of the Green Bay Packers, over 1,100 yards last year. So I think looking at Dillon, the way they used him, the lack of wide receiver options at Green Bay this year, I think you could be looking at Green Bay, who I think the coach has already come out and said they're going to run a lot more 2 running back sets. So I think you're going to see a lot more Dillon on the field this year. And I think by the end of the year, I'd say you could see Dillon replacing Jones as the number 1 guy at Green Bay. I think he's going to get an even share of the snaps by the end of the season anyway. He'll definitely be taking 50% of the snaps. He's goal line quality. He's a guy who's going to bring a lot to you. And I think he's getting drafted. Is it 7th round? I think AJ Dillon is getting drafted in now at the minute. Or the 8th?
You can get him in 8th places, yeah.
Yeah, so like for an 8th round back, he's a guy you can pick up this year. Stick him at the flex. He's a high reward guy at your flex. And by the end of the year, you could be looking at a guy who's the potential of being an RB1, might even, if you're playing a keeper league, could even be a keeper for you the following year. Or dynasty league, you might be able to move some of your older running backs who are starting to lose their equity and push Dillon up as your RB1 or your RB2. I think by the end of the year, Dillon is going to be an RB2 or an RB1. Like last year, he finished as the running back 22 last year. So now you think if he doesn't start slowly this year and he does get the snaps that he was getting at the end of last year and he has the same quality, like he could end up with an outside chance of being in the top 10 running backs this year. So I think
did Aaron Jones go down at all last year? Because I'm just looking at AJ Dillon's stats here. He was quite strong through the year.
Yeah, Jones did go down for a few weeks, right?
He
that kind of got
wasn't that many weeks.
He was down for, was it 2 or 3?
Yeah,
but like I 100% agree with you, 100%. If I didn't pick my pick, I would have definitely picked him. You know, you just got there first, to be quite honest. Because like he's just such an explosive running back. Like as a Green Bay fan, he's everything you want in a running back. He can just break the tackle. It doesn't matter how many lads are on this guy. I think he can break 4 or 5 guys if he really wants to. But like he's just so much more explosive than Aaron Jones, and I love Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is my favorite player in the league at the moment. I love the man. But I think you're right. I do think eventually Dylan is going to take over as that RB1 because he is the better out and out running back. Jones is a fantastic pass catcher, so I could see Jones going back out to just being the pass catcher and Dylan taking most of those reps. I 100. I think it's a fantastic pick. I really do. Yeah.
Shane just turned on funky disco lights in the background.
They're my celebration lights for everyone agreeing with my pick.
He's celebrating AJ Dillon's breakout.
I'm gonna break out the AJ Dillon dance.
Do not. I have absolutely no idea why the light is actually doing that. I have absolutely no idea. I thought it was just a normal light, and apparently it's not.
Not in your house.
Yeah, no, I'd have like AJ Dillon in the 8th round is great value. In fairness, if you can get him in the 8th round, like even if you've stacked your wide receiver room and you have AJ Dillon as your RB2, like that's great value, really. Like you can't really go wrong there, even if he is in a 50-50 timeshare, which it might not be 50-50, but Green Bay don't really seem to have the passing weapons anyway, so that the two boys could easily do like an Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram sort of situation.
Yeah, which is something I personally really like the two running back. Like if you have two guys who are that good in your backfield, like, because don't get me wrong, I love Jones. I think Jones is brilliant. But if you have two running backs who can perform that way, like it showed at the Saints that year, Ingram and Kamara, like you can go far with that. And like Aaron Rodgers is one of them guys, no matter who he's thrown at, he's going to make them better. Like he makes average receivers look like they're top talent. And that's I think that's a fair way of putting it. I don't think anyone will disagree with that. Like the likes of MVS and Lazard, they're not like you wouldn't go out if you were the owner of a team and say, I have to have him as my wide receiver one. Like Rodgers just makes them guys look better than what they are. Do you know? And like if he can do that for them, maybe that's why AJ Dillon is able to catch 34 targets or 34 receptions out of 37 targets in a season. And he's young. He's only going to get better.
Cool. So then, Jamie, what's your breakout pick?
So my breakout pick. So I'm going to go a bit more on the new side of things, let's just say. So I'm going to go for a rookie, right? And I'm going to kind of go against what we were kind of talking about in the news. But I'm going to go down the Kansas City side, right? And I'm going to go against the whole MVS being the perfect wide receiver as he is. Because MVS is the perfect wide receiver. But my breakout pick this year is Sky Moore. I think with the wide receivers that they have at the Chiefs at the moment, there's competition there. There's a chance there for somebody to grab that wide receiver one spot. You've got MVS, you got Cole Hardman, and there's someone else I'm forgetting about, but it doesn't matter, right? Right. Oh, sorry, Juju, right? 0-3, right? Like MVS, seeing him in the Packers, good deep threat. Is he going to be wide receiver one? Not an absolute hope. Smith Schuster, talked about him earlier on. Is he going to be wide receiver one? You never know. He got the hype, but the hype never comes up. Mecole Hardman, I think Mecole now he might have a good season this year because Mahomes likes him.
He's injured now anyway.
he's injured now, right? Which makes my pick even better, right? Okay. So I think Sky Moore is the guy, right? Sky Moore is only going to get better. He's a rookie pick. He's a guy who's just coming out of college and he just has gotten better and better every year he plays. Right. Actually, an interesting fact, and I was actually looking up this earlier on, right, bring back my factoids, is that he actually played quarterback in high school. He never played wide receiver until he got to college, right? Couldn't make into a big college team. Didn't think he was good enough, and still somehow managed to get high up in the draft and into the Chiefs. The guy is good. He's quick. He's athletic. He's everything Mahomes needs in a wide receiver. And of course, you got that X factor in himself, Mahomes. So if Mahomes gets to liken to him, wants to connect with him, connects with him, like you're looking at a top wide receiver this year. Like.
Yeah, it's kind of call your shot on any of those Kansas City wide receivers because Mahomes is going to throw 35 to 40 passing touchdown. Someone has to catch him. And like you say, Juju and MVS, they wouldn't scare you. So like Sky Moore has as good a chance as any of them.
Yep.
What round of drafts is he going in, actually? I don't even know where his ADP is at the minute, but like it can't be higher than 12, is it?
It was around when I was doing mock drafts, it was around 9.
Oh, 9, is
9,
it?
9, 10, yeah.
Oh, it's still not too bad. Like
it's high enough, right? But you can kind of see why. You know, like you're not going to trust the other guys.
No, if you're a Chiefs fan, I think at the minute you're looking at that wide receiver room and you're thinking, I really hope Sky Moore is good. So I like it. I think Mahomes is going to be thinking the same thing. Like if especially with Mecole Hardman, if he does end up missing week 1, like Hardman's got the speed, but let's be realistic about it as well. Hardman couldn't beat out Sammy Watkins when he was there and the two of them were playing together. So like how good is Hardman? Like how good of a route runner is he? We know he's fast, but that's not going to just get you into the team. Like
he's had so many chances as well. Like he's like lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, so I do like the Sky Moore pick. Just the Chiefs wide receivers this year, they're a toss up. I think it's a danger going towards them and banking on him. But I think Sky Moore, the value he is, I think it's worth the punt. And he is a guy who is really high upside. Like he could be the number 1 there, and you get him in the 9th round and could end up with what might just be, probably won't be, but might just be the next cheetah of the Chiefs. You know, so I like the pick.
Yeah.
For my breakout pick, I went a little bit risky with it. I tend to like to get second-year wide receivers, and I was going through the list of second-year wide receivers trying to pick one. Because that's when I tend to think you can get a receiver at a value, because then by the time they're in the 3rd year, the value has gone too high. And I landed on Amon-Ra St. Brown because I couldn't bring myself to pick Kadarius Toney after one good game. But I looked more into Amon-Ra's stats, and he kind of started the year slow, as all rookies do. He kind of came into it a little bit more as it went on. And then he gets to week 13 against the Vikings and absolutely explodes. He scores 19.8 fantasy points. Then he goes to Denver, 11.3, Arizona, 19.5, Atlanta, 21.5, Seattle, 31.4, Green Bay, 22.1. And I know that all these games happened when Hawkinson was down and DeAndre Swift was down, and the weapons, he was the only weapon. I think he had like the highest, he had like one of the highest usage rates on routes run, only second to Justin Jefferson or something like that. So he was getting absolutely like power fed the ball, absolutely force fed the ball by Goff, because there was no other weapons to catch the ball. But the argument then is, with the returning weapons, with Hawkinson coming back, with Jameson Williams coming into the team, with DeAndre Swift back, with DJ Chark signed, do they need to use Amon-Ra St. Brown? And was the numbers that he came up with at the end of the season, were they just because of all this force-fed targets? But I actually think that was a switch. Like you saw when you watched Amon-Ra St. Brown that he was uber talented. And I remember the year that Alvin Kamara broke out. The next year, everyone was kind of like, well, was it just, an apparition? Was it just, a good stretch run at the end? And I bet against Kamara. I thought it was just he was hyper efficient and he got lucky, and it was 6 games and that's all it was. And then Alvin Kamara made me look like an absolute fool. So this time I'm not betting against the talent. This time I'm looking at the talent and saying the reason he was that efficient was because he is that good. And adding targets to other players, like bringing in Hawkinson and bringing in Swift, having DJ Chark there, this is going to spread defenses. This is going to keep drives going for longer. This is going to lead to more scoring opportunities. So I don't expect you to get like the high-end 31 points every week or the high-end 21 points. But I think Amon-Ra could easily be like a strong wide receiver 2 this year. And getting him in the 7th round isn't the highest price to have to pay for that. So if I can start my drafts and get a good wide receiver in the first 3 rounds and stack up on running backs like most people like to do, and then add Amon-Ra St. Brown later on in the draft, I'm perfectly happy to do that and roll the dice on a player like that. Either of you got any opinions on that?
I like him. Yeah, he's. I don't think when you are the only weapon, like you said he was last year, like he had some really good touchdowns as well. Like they weren't just gimmies. Like he showed up, and we have red zone over here. I don't know if any people listening in America have red zone. I don't know if they do that in America, but basically it's like the big plays, and they go through all the games, and it's all live. But he showed up a few times. They were big touchdowns he was scoring. Like they were 50-yarders, 40-yarders, good 20-yard throw over the shoulder catch at the back of the end zone. Like he had those, like, and you don't do that and fall off a cliff, in my opinion. That doesn't happen. And when you're the only guy on a team who's got any bit of an output after 2 weeks, especially after that, usually you're double covered. They're saying this, he's forcing him the ball, double cover.
I was kind of wondering, was it just me who thought he was frozen, or is he just frozen
Okay,
altogether?
fine.
But I can just see Jamie's face kind of like he's gone.
He is gone.
He's mid poop. Do you want to hop in, Jamie, and give your opinion, and Shane can come back in?
Yeah, I like it. I do like it. I was there last year, around this time last year. I always like to draft a rookie, at least one rookie, and just keep him on the bench for a while, see how he goes. And Amon Ra was the guy I drafted last year. Now I eventually had to like give him up halfway through the season, but I was disgusted when I had to give him up halfway through the season because, as you say, he broke out. Then he gave you loads of points. He was a wide receiver everybody wanted. He was gone off the board. He was the perfect guy to have to close out your fantasy season. I think it's a great pick. I do. I think he, as you say, he's got the talent. He's most definitely got the talent. You know, it's just a matter: are they going to put the ball in his hand? If they put the ball in his hands, I think they're going to have a good run or running back, wide receiver. Sorry, and I say 7th, 8th round is not a lot to be playing for a guy like that.
Yeah, you really do have to take your balls in your hand and go for it. It's a worrying pick. Like, it is a scary pick because, you know, he could be absolutely nothing, but at the same time, it's a 7th round pick. Go for it. Aim for the home run pick. Like,
yeah, you got to take a punt, Joe. You got to take a punt on someone. You know, he's the perfect example down that kind of stretch. Like you just need a guy who has wide receiver one quality. And maybe not a great team, obviously, but you know, you got to throw the ball to someone. You know,
Shane, you're back there. We lost you in the middle of it.
Yeah, sorry guys about that. No, look, you were mentioning guys like Shark and that. Like realistically, when was Shark last like a real wide receiver one? Like, when has he had that output in fantasy? And Hawkinson, I love Hawkinson. He's a tight end I like to rely on, but Hawkinson, he has his injury problems, like, so there's a chance he's going to go down again. Like, more than likely, he will miss a week or two throughout the season. St. Brown, I was saying he made some tough catches last year. He must have beaten, like, he was definitely double covered a good few times. He beaten double coverage. So I think he could actually end up, it doesn't look like he is, but I have a funny feeling Jared Goff and him had a real good connection. I have a funny feeling he'd be leaned on. I like where you went with it. It's just I don't like Goff and I don't like Detroit this year. So that's maybe where I think the production lacks, is just from a play calling standpoint, and the fact Jared Goff is so inconsistent. But the player himself, if you put him on the Packers, I think we're looking at a guy who's probably getting drafted in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
Do you know, that's the quality. That's the quality lack.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Like, it's I never like to draft players from bad teams, but if you look even at Brandon Cooks last year, nobody wanted him, and he was very serviceable, and I think you're getting an electric player. So again, it's a 7th round pick, so all these players have their risk factors. So it's just kind of, if I'm taking a risk in the 7th, I'm not playing it safe. I'm going to go get someone who might be able to win me a league.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
That'll bring us nicely through the breakout picks then. So we had AJ Dillon, we had Amon-Ra St. Brown, and we had Sky Moore. So I think now I'll be watching all of our drafts together, and I'll be trying to snipe your players.
I'm taking St. Brown in the second, man.
Work away, lad. Work away.
If you want him that badly, you got him. Okay, that'll bring us nicely into the trade section of the show then. So we'll go through some of the trades we're seeing in the Dynasty Leagues. I'll kind of tell you which of their 1 QB or Superflex as we're going through them. But this first one, there was actually a player misconception when we went through it first. And when we were going through them pre-show, Jameson Williams got mistaken for Javonte Williams. So once Jameson Williams was revealed as the player involved in the trade, there was some eyebrows raised straight away. So it was Nick Chubb for Jameson Williams and Watson from Green Bay. So that was in League 12. So Shane, you had the first opinion on this. Nick Chubb for Jameson Williams and Christian Watson.
Yeah, look, this was, as we'll announce it now, we're bringing it back. The Bent Over the Barrel Award of the week. And when I realized, thank you, Jamie, thank you. When I realized that this wasn't Javonte Williams, I was like, you're an idiot. But then I didn't want to shit all over the trade either, because I think Christian Watson has high upside, been where he is with the Green Bay Packers, and most likely will end up in the wide receiver 1 there, in my opinion, by the end of the year, if he is what they think he is. So I'm not going to completely shut this down. You might have a healthy running back room. I don't know what your team is, but Williams, what are you doing? Like, he may as well, that's just what, a wide receiver 3, 4. Like, you're good. That's nothing. Like, you won't even get a draft pick back for that. I wouldn't even give you a 12th round pick for him.
What pick in the NFL draft was he? Let me look that up.
Watson, then, yeah, I like Watson. I think Watson's going to be somewhat decent. So look, I don't ever agree with giving away high value running backs. Chubb is a high value running back, and I think we've seen the situation with Kareem Hunt. I reckon he could end up leaving Cleveland. If he does, Chubb is going to be touting the ball 3 downs. Like, he's a league winner. Like, he's a difference maker. So I get you might be in a rebuild, man, but you did not get enough back for that. But I'm still not going to grade it as an F. I'll give you a C for some sort of a trying effort.
Jameson Williams was pick 12.
Oh, is it a high?
Yeah. It's mad the way you forget the draft so quickly.
Yeah, no doubt. But you also got to think that these 2 guys are also injured. Right? It was just never a good way to start your NFL career.
Is Watson injured?
They're both injured. They're both on the pup at the moment.
I didn't realize Watson was on the pup as well.
Yeah, they're both injured. Like, why would you draft 2 injured players? One of the best running backs in the league. So as Jane said there, if Hunt goes, he's ADP skyrockets. You're no. It's I don't know.
How many years do we reckon Chubb has left? How many years has he been in the league?
Chubb is in his 5th year this year, is it?
Yeah, 2018 he was drafted. So yeah, he's playing on the 5th year option then this year, or did they give him a contract?
That I don't know.
He was hardly drafted in the first round. He probably didn't have a 5th year option. He's probably got a contract, I'd say. I can't remember. Really
easy to pay him when you got rid of Baker off the books anyway.
Anyway, we'll move on to the next trade. The next one, this one we don't have to talk about too long, but it's more kind of just interesting for me as a Cardinals fan to see the kind of perception of Hopkins now. So in 10-11, DeAndre Hopkins and a 2023 first round pick for Chris Godwin and a 2023 third round pick. So you're trading first for a third for Chris Godwin and DeAndre Hopkins, essentially.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't
think
it's too bad. Yeah,
You're going to get more
like,
years out of Godwin anyway.
yeah, I think it's a fair enough deal. You know, like I think what they did was they used Hopkins being out for 6-7 weeks and used that to their advantage and said, look, this is great of him. Pull in a wide receiver who's going to be unbelievable because he's got Tom Brady and Godwin is just class anyway, and this is cashed in, both got what they wanted, they moved on. I like it. I think it's grand. I'd have no issues either side there.
Godwin probably has about 3 more years left in the tank than Hopkins as well. I'd say Hopkins could be done in 2 or 3. Like,
I'd take 3 more years of Hopkins than 5 or 6 years out of Godwin.
It's not much Godwin love from Shane.
No, I like Godwin, but like realistically, look who's around Godwin. Like, and also look who Godwin's QB is. How much longer is Brady going to play?
Like,
yeah,
I think Godwin's on the franchise tag though, is he? Is he still franchise tag this year?
Yeah, but like that's it. Like, who's Godwin really going to be playing with? Like he might even be in Tampa Bay. If he does stay in Tampa Bay, Tom Brady's not going to be there much longer. Hopkins has Kyler Murray for the rest of his career. Right. We put that like that, right? If Hopkins more than likely stays at Arizona, he's got Kyler for the rest of his career. Hopkins is wide receiver 1. He can finish with Devontae Adams, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. You also give up a first-round pick with him, right? Now, Godwin's got to compete with now Julio Jones, who's more than likely past it, but he's still going to take targets away from him. He's got to compete with Mike Evans, who's the number 1 guy there, going to take targets away from him. Tom Brady loves his tight ends. Cameron Brate's going to eat up targets. And Tom Brady loves throwing it to running backs too. Lenny Fournette or whoever jumps in there is the passing down back. You're going to lose out on targets. There's too much competition in Tampa Bay for me to be taking Godwin. Hopkins, when he comes back, I know he's out this year. But look, this is dynasty you're looking at, right? So we're talking multiple years of having this guy. I don't think it was worth giving up Hopkins and a first. I think Fuzzy 27 or Fuzzy because there's 2 Fs did very well here. I really like this trade. I think he done well on his side, and I think Stenger, is it Stenger 29 Miss Stenger?
Stenger.
Yeah, you don't need to pronounce him. It's okay.
Anyway, that guy or that girl did not so well on this trade. Like, you picked up a third round.
M. Stenger got Hopkins and the first round pick.
Oh, sorry, I have that backwards, right?
Yeah.
Right, well then Stenger did excellent. And Fuzzy 27, man. I'm sorry for the false praise. You're an idiot. No, you're not an idiot. Like, look, I just wouldn't have done it myself, right? Like, I would have kept Hopkins, stashed him away for the first. What's he gone for? 7 games, 8 games? Is
7, yeah, something like that.
6 games, yeah.
Yeah, so like I would have stashed him away. You know, when he comes back, he's the wide receiver 1. He's going to come back biting at the bit to get his targets. Marquise Brown is his competition. Like, come on, he's not going to take too many targets away from Hopkins, and you got a first round pick with it as well. So next year, you're going into next year now with more than likely, possibly 2 first round picks. Do you know, like, that's for me. I rate what Stenger done. That's an A, but Fuzzy there getting like a D, man. It's close to failure for me. Like,
I don't know. Like, I think you're rating Godwin way too low there. Like, you know, like he's going to get more targets now that Gronk is gone as well. You know, I think he's going to be a lot more favorable this year. I completely get what you mean. You know, by it being a dynasty, and next year, yeah, you don't really know what you're going to get out of him the year after that. But I think he's just so good. He is a good.
Shane's very harsh on everyone. We were 2 trades in.
Very fucking
harsh.
We haven't done this in months, man. I have high expectations for these people.
He's like 3 trades in, and he's called 5 people idiots. It's like he's calling everyone in the trades idiots. Like,
calm down, Shane. Right? If we want people to listen to the show, like...
someone gave away Nick Chubb for 2 rookie receivers who were injured. What do you call that?
Yeah, he was right there too. Fair.
All right, let's move on. So we have Van Jefferson. I said that wrong. Van Jefferson, Ramondre Stevenson, and a 2023 third-round pick for Josh Jacobs. And this happened in 107. Now, I'll hop in first. I would have done Jacobs for Stevenson straight up personally in a dynasty, but that's just me. So I think lying to myself, getting Van Jefferson and a third thrown in was quite a good bit of business there. Jamie, any opinions on that one?
No, I'd agree. I think you're right. People are very high in Stevenson this year. It looks like he might be the RB1 there, and if he's the RB1 there, you want to get the bonus with Jefferson, who could easily be a flex some week and your third round pick next year. Hand me out. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Stevenson for Jacobs probably would have been enough. Actually, Stevenson for Jacobs with the third round pick would have been enough. I think because Stevenson's not nailed on, and we know the way New England uses running backs. But Jacobs, he's going to be the number one guy for Vegas. So, like, I do like this trade. This is probably one of my more favorable trades throughout the whole thing. I think both guys probably got exactly what they wanted. I'd say from looking at that.
Josh Jacobs is kind of he's almost a forgotten man in fantasy. He's kind of I have no real issue with him, but at the same time, I have no real desire to have him on any teams.
Yeah, that's exactly it, really. And you don't think of Josh Jacobs. He's never in your draft plan. Even as an RB2, you would never think of. I would just like it's Jacobs for enough.
And he's better than Miles Sanders as well.
Miles.
Like he's bad, like.
We'll move on anyway. So in 106, we saw Kirk Cousins in a 2023 second round pick for Darryl Mooney and a 2023 third round pick. So you traded a third for a second to get Kirk Cousins' move for Darryl Mooney, essentially. So Cousins and a second for Mooney and a third. I suppose if you need a quarterback, Cousins fills in well. I kind of like to have Mooney there, though. He's kind of. But then again, Chicago.
I feel like that's a barrel, like close enough to it. So, I think Mooney could be good this year. We've been talking a lot about guys. Somebody has to throw the ball to him. And he's not a guy. Somebody has to catch a ball at some point, and Mooney's going to be that guy in Chicago. Either himself or Komet. It's going to be the one of the two of them.
If you needed a quarterback bad though, Cousins isn't a bad. Say you needed a backup quarterback for your fantasy team, Cousins is kind of you could go get him. You didn't have to pay a lot; you had to pay Mooney essentially. But there is upside with Mooney though.
Yeah, I suppose it depends. How many quarterbacks to use in this league? It's two.
No, this is one QB. So
yeah, one. So if it's one, no, that's a barrel.
I am going to disagree with both of you.
Of course you are.
I really like this trade. I think this is a really good trade this year. Like both guys for me this year. And I don't like Kirk Cousins. I am one of the people who think Kirk Cousins is getting paid so much money, fully guaranteed, and I have no idea how he's doing it. He's just pulling the wool over people's eyes. But Minnesota have the coaching staff have basically come out and said that they're going to be pass heavy this year. He's got Thielen, who is a bit of an enigma. I can't think of the wide receiver 3 there to have at the minute, but I did read up on him, and
KJ Osborne.
Yes, that's him, and I really like
Green Goblin.
I really like the look of him. I think he could have some serious upside himself this year, and then Jefferson is going to be really good. So they have 3 solid wide receivers, and Dalvin Cook who can catch out of the backfield. So I think if they go pass heavy, I think Kirk Cousins could be a really underrated QB going into the year. And Mooney, then I like Mooney. He's one of the few Bears I actually like, but I hate
Yogi
Fields. What?
Or Paddington? What about Paddington?
But I just don't like Fields. I don't think Fields is going to be good enough to get him the ball the whole time. And I like the upside Mooney has as well, but Fields is the big thumbs down for me on that. But I like the trade. I think that's a really good trade. Both guys have upside. You're giving away picks fairly right for the quality of player you're getting. I like the trade. I think that is the best trade we've seen so far. The most equal, fair trade we've seen so far.
Well, that's the complete opposite of what I just
said. I would disagree with your barrel analysis.
I just feel like to trade something like that, you got to be desperate for a quarterback. And look, fair enough, he's desperate for a quarterback. I see the upside. But other than that, I just don't do it. I just think Mooney is so much upside this year. He could be such a good wide receiver. Obviously, depending on Fields, but if he is getting the ball, he's going to be a wide receiver too. Like,
Yeah, but
I'm just busy trying
If
to think of
Cousins
famous
does have
Bears.
if Cousins has that year where it's pass heavy and he's hitting 30 points to mid 20s to 30 points every week, like Mooney's not going to score you. I don't even think Mooney's going to get you 15 plus consistently. I think he's going to have weeks there where he's going to be 1-2 points. I don't think he's going to be that consistent this year because of Fields. So for me, I think Kirk Cousins is much higher for me this year. I think Mooney, if he moves or if they move on from Fields and get a decent QB in Chicago, then yeah, Mooney has the potential to be that consistent wide receiver one, high score, and he'll move way up people's drafts charts. But I like it. I think both guys for a dynasty setup have good potential for the next few years. I really like the trade.
We'll move on to a more straightforward trade anyway. So again in 106, we had big fat Lenny Fournette being traded for Ezekiel Elliott.
yeah, okay.
There's not really a lot to say about this one. Like, it's kind of like, which guy do you prefer? Like, it's all it
Yeah,
is.
it's kind of it. Like, so who do you like more? They're both the exact same. You know, I think you get more upset out of Fournette, to be honest, than Elliott. But like, then Elliott is such a good running back anyway.
Both these guys
Like,
are done in 2 years though. Like, that's the top and bottom of it. Like,
yeah, like
they're both
They're
due a
both-
good year, really, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like they're both. They need. These guys were previous round one draft guys. Like they were guys that they were on the top of your draft board. The two of them now are what? They're third round ADP.
I think
Late
Lenny's in the
second.
second.
Yeah. So like, I like the trade. It's perfectly balanced for me, and both guys are due to have a good year. So like, you'd be hoping by the end of it, either way, you're after trading with this that you're going to end up with an RB 5 to 10 at the end of the year. Like, you know, that's the potential you're hoping for.
This next one from League 4, this one's a bit of a dry heave of a trade. So it's Devin Singletary, CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, for Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah, there's a silence says everything about that.
only for the ADP of Edwards-Helaire, which I still don't know why. And I drafted him last year like an idiot. I was just myself an idiot.
After taking the piss out of me
Yeah,
the year
after
before.
I ripped the piss out of you the year before. Yes, Jamie, I had to do it. But like, this to me makes no sense. You're going for CEH, who's had injuries, and when he hasn't been injured, he's been shite anyway. And Singletary, who's most likely been replaced as the RB1 at Buffalo by the rookie running back they're after bringing in. That's like
I saw today they have Sean McDermott came out and said that they're going to use a 3-back committee in Buffalo, which is just
so like that to me alone. Like, you're getting two guys there, Singletary and Edwards-Helaire. Yes, you might get lucky, and 1 week this year, the two of them might be the guys who have a great game and they both score between 10 and 20 points. You might get lucky. Chances are you're not getting lucky. Zeke is going to score you consistently over 10 points, I think, all year. I think that's the guy he's always been. He's had a few down weeks, but more than likely Zeke is getting you a good handful of points every week. Yes, probably doesn't have that much left in the tank. 2-3 more years. He's already shown that he's slowing down, but he's still quality. Still one of the best running backs in the league. And to me, that's a bad trade. It's just, there's no two ways about it. I know the ADP says it's probably a really good trade. The ADP sometimes is an idiot too. Just doesn't make sense to me.
I think even if you put those two guys on, or sorry, the three guys, equal teams, I still don't think you would still do this trade. Like, I'd say Elliott he's the man. He's going to get you consistent points. It's exactly what you want in fantasy football. You just need consistency. You do not want running backs of Singletary and Edwards-Helaire in Kansas and Buffalo who do not want to run the ball. You know, you got Haddon who's going to run the ball. He's the running back there, basically. And Mahomes, he's the exact same thing. They don't want to run the ball. And even when they will run the ball, it's not going to be that far.
I totally misheard you when you said Allen. I thought you said Haaland, and I was like,
Haaland.
Did City send him across to like some other one of their sister clubs, and he just got
He's
robbed?
a quarterback now.
It wouldn't surprise me if he could do it. It really wouldn't surprise me if he could do it.
Erling Haaland just busting lads up in the NFL. Like, fairness of the man, he's built like a tank.
He's a big man, yeah.
That moves us on to the next trade, which is this one has a lot to unpack in it. It's quite tasty. So this is this your favorite one? Is it
I love this trade. Love this.
So it was breakout star AJ Dillon, Antonio Gibson, and a 2024 first round pick for Austin Eckler, Tony Pollard, and Michael Carter. I'll give that back again. So it's AJ Dillon, Antonio Gibson, and a 2024 first for Austin Eckler, Tony Pollard, and Michael Carter. So Shane, you love it. You kick us off.
Yeah, I just love it, man. Like AJ Dillon, we went through him already. I won't even spend too long on Dillon there now. That's basically all I'm going to say on it. Gibson has one of those absolutely useless washed QBs as well playing. And
Gibson can't hold on to a ball. He was playing with like punt team this week.
the upside with Gibson, look, Zeke had his issues with fumbling the ball. Zeke cleaned them up. Fumbling the ball is not something that can't be fixed. I think Gibson he's primed to have a better year this year. I think with Wentz there, they're probably going to hand it off a handy bit to him, and Gibson can catch the ball as well, some way, shape, or form. You also got a first round pick, which I really like, because Eckler on the other side, I think Eckler is going to go down a bit more this year, but he's still going to be a high value running back. I don't think he's going to have the same numbers as last year. He'd be close though. Tony Pollard, we talked about Zeke. Tony Pollard I reckon he's more than likely going to take over that backfield in the next 2 years. I think by the end of 2023 or 2024, Tony Pollard is more than likely going to be the number one back there. He's shown real flashes of potential at Dallas. He's getting more of the ball nearly every year. I reckon he ends up at about 40% of it this year. Michael Carter, I like the Michael Carter one simply because everyone thinks Bryce Hall has that backfield nailed down. I think Michael Carter is going to really compete for it. I think it's going to be a lot of 50-50 this year. And Michael Carter has the potential that even if he does lose out to Bryce Hall, he can be moved on somewhere else. And I think he goes somewhere else, he has a real chance of being a number one back wherever he goes. I like his quality. I think he's a good running back. So for me, that's a really, really good trade for both sides. My favorite trade of the whole lot that we've gone through. I think that is just what you want to see, what we love to see. Tasty players going in opposite directions, high value pick. I love it. Who are those two? Shooting the Breeze and Bash 2000. Thumbs up, boys. That was fucking brilliant.
You've made him emotional, lads. yeah. Like I think you're right. I think you can equate everything to everyone here. Like Dillon and Carter. If New York go the way we think we're going to go, and the Carters as good as we think we are, it could be the same kind of situation as Jones and Dillon at the moment. So, and I do think Carter is a fantastic running back. So even if he doesn't get in the Jets, he will move on somewhere. Pollard and Gibson, like I know Washington are just so upset with Gibson at the moment. It seems like they just seem very frustrated by him. They just want him to be him, and he has so much potential, and he just doesn't seem to want to bring out in him for some odd reason. But if it clicks with him, like you've got a good running back there, but that's the problem with a click. But you would equate that to Pollard, who is behind Elliott. So that's a good running back too there, and Eckler in the first round. I think that's fair. Yeah.
Cool. So then into another super flex trade then in 104. So we've given Baker a lot of talk already today, but
it's gonna be good.
So Shooting the Breeze was in this trade as well. Baker Mayfield, Mike Gesicki, a 2023 first round pick, and a 2024 first round pick. Geez, that's really stacking up on the picks. For Mark Andrews and a 2023 second. So that's a lot of value for Mark Andrews, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I shooting the breeze might just be my new favorite person we've had trade on there. Like we've had a few guys, but he just offloaded Mark Andrews, who's more than likely dusted in 2 years' time. He got rid of a second round pick, managed to pick up 2 first round picks. Gesicki, who has not great upside, but decent upside. And I don't even want to mention Baker like that. Like, look, you took the hit on Baker, man. We get it. Nobody wanted him. You took him, but you got 2 first round picks. So look, I'm happy with that. Good trade on by shooting the breeze again.
It is super flex, so you do need to play 2 quarterbacks. So what, 12 teams?
I'd rather not play a second quarterback than play Baker Mayfield. Like, I take the points in every week. He's probably going to get you minus points anyway with the fucking picks.
Poor Baker. Hope he never listens to the show.
Yeah, he's never listening to this show. Don't worry about that. It's called spade a spade here. Like,
yeah, that's true. Yeah. I think it is what it is. But I do think Andrews is value this year, but he's not going to value much value for next year's coming. Gesicki's a good replacement. Like that Miami offense, if it does click with Tua, it does. What we don't think he might do, but hopefully he will do. Like Gesicki's going to be up there as a good tight end. So yeah, I think
that moves us on to Superflex 102 then. So Treylon Burks was traded for Russell Gage and Kadarius Toney. The more I kind of look at this one, like Treylon Burks is apparently having horrendous training camp sessions. Kadarius Toney, I wanted to pick him as my breakout pick, but I couldn't do it based off of only one game and then injury the whole way through, and he's apparently injured again now, so I don't know what's happening there. And then Jamie, you were saying that Russell Gage is getting talked about very highly, but we were talking about him at the start, well, before we started recording, and we're kind of saying, what is he, the wide receiver 4 on that team now? Probably receiver 5 if you count Cameron Brate as well.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what side of this trade I would actually prefer. I think I'd prefer the Toney side just because I like Toney the best.
Yeah, I think you could probably flip a coin. I probably would take Burks. I think there's more upside. Like Toney just seems to be constantly injured. He seems to get fit and get injured, and he just seems to have an injury problem. He might not have an injury problem, but it just seems like he's got an injury problem. And I don't care how many people talk about Russell Gage. He's so far down the pecking order in that team. He's not coming onto that field. For a fantasy relevant season, he's definitely not coming onto that field. He might come on the field in the fourth quarter or something, but he's not going to be fantasy relevant.
Shane, anything on that one?
Yeah, I think again, this was one that I looked at and I thought, this is insane. Like, this was touching the barrel. Like, I didn't put it on the barrel just because I see the upside in Toney. But Treylon Burks, man, we talked about this, I don't know how many times. Like, yeah, he's having a bad camp, but like, since when? Like, how often does preseason flow over into the regular season? Like, Treylon Burks has the same intangibles as AJ Brown and DK Metcalf. Is he going to be as good as those guys? There's no way of knowing until week 1. But if you drafted Treylon Burks, why aren't you sticking with him? Like, you probably spent a high enough pick on him in the draft to get him. For me, you stick with your gut on him. Like, he has the potential to be an AJ Brown and a DK Metcalf. 2 guys who have shown that size and speed is absolutely dominant in this league. We knew it for years. They're proving it more and more. Look at the Seattle Seahawks picked DK up in the second round because everyone went out on him late the year he was drafted, and he didn't go in the first round like everyone thought he would. That was a huge mistake by every team who didn't draft him. I think Treylon Burks, man, he's more than likely the wide receiver 1 with the Titans. Now, again, they're a team that have Henry is the main man. He's going to rush the ball more often than not. But on the big play action plays, when everyone bites, you get in behind the safety, or you even go up 1v1 with the safety. If you beat your cornerback, Traylon Burks is the size to dominate against safeties. You know, he's the size to dominate at the line of scrimmage and beat his man. I think the upside is too high for me to be trading him away. He probably invested high draft capital in to get him. And I think Gage is never going to be anything more than a wide receiver 3 on any team. So fantasy-wise, he's more or less irrelevant bar 1 or 2 weeks where there's a couple of injuries in the team. Tony, Jamie said it all on him. We don't know if he's going to be able to stay fit. He's had one good game ever. He was a gadget guy last year in places. Nothing showed up, and it's the Giants. They haven't been relevant for so long. Danny Dimes can't even run. He falls over himself. Like, realistically, what are you getting with Tony? I love the upside he has, just not at New York. Traylon Burks for me is who I keep. I wouldn't have traded him away.
We've kind of run over, so I'm going to skip over the last 2 trades. We might get to them next week or something because they were a little bit juicy, but we've already talked for long enough at this stage. We've kept everyone going for this long. And
for
I
another
can't keep
10 minutes extra.
Yeah, exactly. We can't get into that rabbit hole of horrors. So I'm going to sign us off there, and thanks everyone for listening. Thanks for getting 1 hour and 11 minutes into a show. We talk a lot of crap, so thank you for listening. You guys can say goodnight, and I'll talk to you later, guys.
Yeah, we'll tune in next week, guys, to find out who was the barrel receiver. It is an awful trade, and I have no fucking idea what you were thinking, but I love it because it gives us something to talk about.
It's juicy, lads. It's juicy, but good. God bless and good night, guys. We'll talk to you next week.